So today's user group refresher is on dates and date calculations, and I'm here with Margot. Hi, Margot.
Hi, everyone.
But I'm going to do a quick overview on a tool called the date parser that's in the software. The expression builder, which lets you take parse dates and combine them, subtract them, do different things with them. And then there's a couple of constants that we provide, a field called now, which is actually right now, it reads the time and date stamp off the system. And now data load is kind of a nice name for it. It's the time when the data was last loaded. And these are useful, if you want to look at like how long it's been since a contact, for example. You can subtract the contact date from either now or now. Data load is going to give you the difference between the two. So I'm going to do a quick overview on these 3 points, and then Margot is going to go into several examples. First, seasonality, where you want to look at maybe gifts or activities or contacts by month of the year across several years. So it's like January through December, you want to see seasonality. That's something you want to do a lot with dates, and the date field often doesn't have that when it comes in from the database. The next example would be first and most recent date of a visit or gift or event attendance. It's another thing we do a lot of. And subtract dates, show the number of months since the last visit, especially in major gift offers or staff performance management. When you're looking at prospect development, that's kind of a key thing, is how long since this prospect's last been approached in a reasonable way. And then we're going to do a quick one on converting calendar dates to fiscal dates. And we'll, as we do this, we're going to lay out some formulas, and we'll give them to you as this handout has some of our tools and techniques for doing this. So if we just jump into a project for a second. Where all of this is, there's several ways to get at the date parser, the expression builder. I mean, one way is typically if you're authoring, you're going to have the task view open. Task view is a panel on the left that will come up in a second. It takes you through the steps of building a project. So whenever you start a new project, this is here. And often when you've already built one, you shut it down because you don't want users seeing this. But authors certainly want this. So it's view, task view. Down in here, working with data, build expressions, parse dates, set up hierarchies is a set of things you do. If I click parse dates, I get a wizard. And the wizard will let me take a date field and turn it into a variety of other forms. So, a date field is just going to be, it's going to come in like 6/24/11, usually is a timestamp. Well, you can turn it into a whole variety of things. They're great because I don't have a date field here right yet, but you can do day of month, which would be 1 to 30, day of year, minute, and so forth. So there's a variety of ways that you can parse a date to create useful information. Margot's going to go through this in a minute, but just that's one place you can get at the date parser. Another place is you can go up on the view tools at the top, parse dates. You can hit it right from there if the task view isn't open. That's a sort of a shortcut to it as well. And often after you've built a project and you're working in it, there's something down here called the project workshop, which you can get to from the task view. You can also get it from the view panel up here, the project workshop. If I click either one of those, I get this whole panel which has all the details on the project. The tables, there's 29 of them, 18 were loaded, pages, color models, calculations, links, parse dates. So here's all the dates I've already parsed in the project. There's a wizard up here that is where you can also get at the date parser wizard. If I click this, it comes back up. So that's sort of where all of this is. I'm going to let Margot pick up from here and sort of take you through those 4 scenarios. So Margot.
All right, thanks, Doug. All right, so first I want to go over some of the expressions to get to these different use cases. So first, the seasonality. Besides the date parser, where you can parse out the month, day, or whatever format you would like, there's also date functions within the expression builder that you can use. So if you simply type year and in parentheses put the date field, and evaluate, this will return the year portion of the date as an integer. You can also do that for the month and the day as well. So let's take a look at that first. So I'm going to jump back to the project. And so I want to look at month. So I can do that 2 ways. I'll first show you using the date parser. So if I click parse dates from the task view, the date parser opens, and you just have to first select the table. So this is the contact reports table and what your date field is. So this actually is the contact date record. So once I have selected the date field I want to parse, I simply check the box next to the format I want. So I just want, so month, I can do the month number, the name, the abbreviation. I'm just going to do the number. So I just check the box next to it, and this will be the new, this column, new field name. This will be the field that's added to my contact reports table. And I can, select several options if I want to, but for now I just want month. So then I just click OK. And now that field is available in this table to put a chart to. So if I want to put a bar chart, click New Bar Chart, select Contact Reports, and the month, and count. And so you see I have a seasonality chart, and I can sort by label, so I can see which months most of the contacts have occurred in. So alternatively, I can also do this with the calculation. So you can get to the expression builder from the task view or from the tools. So I'm just going to go to Tools, Build Expressions. And so again, when you're in the expression builder, you need to select the table that you're calculating the field in. So this is contact reports. And you have to give the field you're calculating a name. So I can just call this month. And then I simply just type month, parentheses. And from this tables node, I can expand this and select the field from here. So I just double click, and it's added to my expression, and close the parentheses, and then click Evaluate. And so that's another option for parsing out dates. And then I just click OK, and again, that field would be available for me to set a chart to. All right, so the second scenario that we run into a lot is finding the first or last date of an event, contact, etc. And so you have to do a roll-up in order to find the first or last date. And in a roll-up, you can't take the min or maximum of a date, so we have to convert it to an integer. And so this is the formula we use, or expression we use for that. You take the year of the date field times 1,000 plus the day of year. So October 7, 2013 would be 2013 280. And you do this because you need to have the same number of digits for each date. Because if you just concatenated the year and the day of year, such as January 1st, 2014, this date would be selected as the first gift date because it's smaller than this integer. So you get misinformation. So that's why you have to have the same number of digits in your integer date field. So let's say I want to find the last date someone was visited. So I would first parse out, using the date parser, the day of year. So if I go to parse dates again, the contact report and contact date record. And then I just find the day of year. So I'm just going to check that and click OK. And so now I can create the integer date field. So again, I need to go to the expression builder. So Tools, Build Expression. And the table's contact reports. And I'm just going to call this, name this field date underscore integer. That's just to let myself know that it's the integer of the date. So now what I can do is I can actually just copy this expression. Control copy. And drop it into the expression builder. I'll get rid of that bullet. Oh, I can't do that. All right, I'm going to cancel this and start over. Okay, so Tools, build expression, contact reports, and date int. I can just type it in. So I actually already have the year parsed out, so I'm just going to double click that. And I'm going to multiply it by 1,000 and then add the day of year. And then click evaluate. And the nice thing about the expression builder is that if your expression doesn't work, it tells you right away. So I can see here that when you, so this field is a string and it needs to be an integer. So in this case, I can use an integer conversion function. So it's just int and then put the field you want to convert in parentheses. All right, and then evaluate. And so that worked. Okay, so it looks like there are some missing dates, but that's okay. Okay, and so now these are all contacts, and I just want to, I'm just interested in visits. So I'm going to create a new ID field to summarize the visits over. So I'm going to, again, calculate a new ID field. So tools, build expression, the contacts reports, and I'm going to call this field ID underscore visits. So I know, to me, this label just tells me that there's an ID number in the rows where the contact is a visit. And I'm just going to match contact types where there's visits in the field name. So if match, and contact type, so if this field has visit anywhere in it, then put an ID in that field, or in that row, excuse me. Then ID number, else missing, because we don't care about those other rows or those other contacts that aren't visits, and evaluate. So you also in the expression builder can get a preview of the field that you calculated, so I can see that this expression did what I expected. Then just click OK. And so now I can create the rollup to take the max integer date. So to do that, you need to do use the cross table link wizard, which you can access from this task view or from the project workshop as well. So if I open the project workshop, it's this icon right here, create a new cross table link. So I just click it, and this wizard walks you through how to do a roll-up. So I just select roll-up, and I'm summarizing the contact reports table. And I'm just interested in those contacts that are visits, so I want to use the ID number that's just in the rows that are visits. And and then you have to name what you want your resulting table to be called. So I'm going to call it last visit. And I usually just put roll up at the end just to let myself know that it's something I created. So then next. And now I simply add the date integer field. So date int. And now this is where I select the operation. So I want the most recent, so I want the biggest gift date or contact date integer. Then next, and finish. And so if I expand this tables node, you will see that this last visit table is listed. And so now what I can do is copy this max date integer field back to the contacts table. And using the expression builder, I can flag specifically which contact it was, and I can see the purpose, any comments or descriptions that are associated with that contact. So I'm just going to, again, use the cross table link wizard. It's also used for creating copies. So just click next, perform table copy, next, and so I'm going to copy from my rollup that I just created on ID back to the contact reports table. And again, I'm going to copy it back on that ID visits. And next, and then you select the fields you want to move over to that table. I don't need this ID, so I'm just going to uncheck it and just leave the max date int checked. Next, and finish. And so now I can create a flag. I'll do that real quick just to show you. So again, to create a new field, you need to use the expression builder. So I'm going to open it from the project workshop since I have it up. And so the contact report table, I need to calculate this field in. And last visit is what I'm going to call the field. So basically, if this date, max date int that I copied back equals the date integer, that means that that's the most recent visit. So I need to use an if-then statement again. And I can select those fields from the tables node. So if the date integer equals the max date int, then 1 else 0. I mean, you could always say if it equals then y else no, whatever you want the values in the field to show, and click OK. So now I can put a chart up just the last contacts, use the flag I created so I can filter it down to just the last contacts. Or I could also copy the last contact or last visit details back to the core table. But so I actually want to find the time since the last contact. So that's another common useful date expression. So finding duration, you can subtract 2 dates and find the interval, and it gives you the interval between them in days. And you can also use the now or now data load operators for these subtracting dates as well. And so then if you wanted to convert it to years, you'd simply divide it by 365.25, which is the average days per year. Months, you would just divide by the average months, the average days per month. So you would just put your subtracting dates in parentheses and then add the divide by whatever you want to convert it to. So let's do that in the software. So I need to, again, use the expression builder. So build expressions. And I'm going to go to the contact report table again. And time since last visit. And actually, I'm going to convert it to months. So I'm going to change this to months. So, and I only need to look at those rows where it's the last visit. So this is where I can use the flag that I created. If last visit flag equals 1, then, and I'm going to use now data load. Now data load minus max, or sorry, I actually need to use the actual date field for this. Okay, and I want to convert it to months, so I need to put it in parentheses and then divide by, I forget what the 30.42. Okay. Else missing. Evaluate. And so I don't know if I'll be able to see any. There's no contact date in these fields. So what I could do is put up a chart on time since last visit. Contact report or month since last visit. Click OK. And so I can see that the there may be some bad dates. I'd have to take a closer look at that. But this is the basics of how you would subtract dates and convert that to some other unit of time besides days. So we covered the first three main useful date expressions. So now some date expressions that I think I use in every project are the year to fiscal year conversion expressions. So this is assuming that your fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th. This fiscal year is pretty basic. Again, it's an if-then statement. So if the month of your date is less than 7, then it's simply the year of that date. Otherwise, it's the year plus 1. And you add as D behind because that will ensure that there's no 1,000 separators, since you don't report years with 1,000 separators. And then it's sort of the same concept for fiscal month and quarter as well. Month, you're just matching the specific month. So, if the month of the date is 1, then 07 January. And you put the 0 in front of the numbers that are single digits so that it's ordered from 1 to 12. Otherwise, it wouldn't order properly. And you put 7 for January because you want the months in order of how they appear in your fiscal year. And then also fiscal quarter, it's more similar to the fiscal year. If it's your month is less than 4, so if it's 1, 2, or 3, that's quarter 3. If your month is less than 7, so if it's 4, 5, or 6, it's quarter 4, and so on. And so you can drop these into the expression builder pretty easily. So I'm going to actually remove the bulleting this time. Oop. Having trouble. Okay. So then copy. And if I come back to the project, I'm going to build a fiscal year expression. I'm going to go to the contact reports. I'm just going to call this field fiscal year. And it's a little formatted, a little funky, but I think it'll be okay. So now I just need to replace it with the actual fields and evaluate. And I know you can't, I think that's those rows that are blank. It's just that they're filtered out right now. So I'll add the fiscal year field to this list so you can see it. Fiscal year. So you can see that that it calculated properly because December is technically fiscal year 2014 and so forth. And so, yeah, you can do that with, let's do that with quarter. So I just want to show you 2 more expressions. So again, build expression and contact report, fiscal quarter. And I'm not sure why. Oh, I think the quotes in aren't the right format for the expression builder. So you can see in the expression builder that you generally don't want things to be black. So if they are, you can tell that something's wrong with your expression. So this is like a string portion. So string portions are generally in red. So now I just need to swap out the month. And evaluate. And so now I have the fiscal year quarter. And so now with these basic expressions, you can create other date formulas from them. So I can now create a fiscal year quarter expression. So I would just go to build expressions again, contact reports. And so now I can create FY quarter. And now, you know, you need to concatenate this. And the quarter portion's a string, so I need to convert the fiscal year to a string. So again, just like the integer conversion, the string conversion is the same. You just put what you want to convert it to, and then the field in parentheses, fiscal year, and then I'm concatenating. So a plus sign, when you're working with strings, it'll concatenate, and I want to put a dash in between the two fields, plus fiscal quarter. And so you can just build off of these basic expressions, basic date expressions to create various date fields. So if I just show you fiscal year quarter, yeah, so now I have fiscal year quarter. So yeah, I can just keep building date fields off of these three simple conversions. So do we have any questions? Feel free to type into the chat if you do have a question.
Margo, I'll ask you one.
Okay.
Doug back here. When you're, are there other, this is a good cross-section you picked out, are there other kinds of date expressions that you've been working with that would be worth bringing out, or do these pretty much capture the range of them?
This pretty much captures them all. I haven't really worked with any other data expressions besides these.
I think I know in our clients what we often find is, especially we get into like staff performance management area where you want to see, you know, time between one event and another event, or you know how long back between now and when somebody's actually been visited. It's pretty important. And sometimes it's calculated database, sometimes it's not. The cool thing here is, and we just went through a whole bunch of them in 25 minutes. Like Margo's probably a little more skilled than most of us, but she just did like 4 of them in 25 minutes. So it's really quick. And if you save this as the project, and I know most of you have projects in production, if you put this in as the master project, tomorrow all this work would be saved and be regenerated with the updated data. So these expressions do recalculate. Tomorrow some more visits have been made. These dates and all these calculations would update with the new data. So that's important to remember. And it's sort of an analytic sandbox where you can create these things, and ultimately you can put them in the database, but that often is a lot harder, and you want to make sure you know what you're getting with the data so you can sort of see, is this actually working? Is it giving me what I thought? Use it with a team, get some experience before you go back and put it in a warehouse or a database. A lot of where this work is done. And you covered actually quite a bit there with the date parser, which converts the actual date field into a variety of sub-pieces. The expression builder, where you can then do things that combine it different ways and subtract things. And then you did a roll-up, which is a purpose of the roll-up is, in that case, you had like contact table with a lot of people with a lot of contacts. You want to find just of all the contacts the highest date integer combination out of all of them if there was a visit to flag. That's the purpose of roll-ups, do that really well. So time for a couple questions, and we're right at about our half-hour point. I'd say, this is recorded. We'll have it posted. This was, a more hardcore authoring refresher webinar. We're trying to mix these up. Some of them are much more end-user focused, and just keep us posted on what's useful. We're trying to create a whole compository of these, both on the user group website, and this one we're also going to put on our tutorial site because it's, generally useful for how to use the dates and what you can do with them. So we'll sit tight here for another minute. And okay, well, we'll thank everybody for your time. We'll get this posted out. We have another one coming up in March. We'll alert you on shortly. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you.